The Imperium does not kill Psykers quickly. It sorts them. The black ships do not appear on Imperial calendars. They have no scheduled arrivals, no published routes, no announcements to planetary governors except in sealed orders that arrive weeks after the ships have already departed. They move through the void like surgical instruments through flesh, necessary, precise, sterile in their purpose. The hulls are bare adamantium, unpainted except for the white seal of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. No windows, no decorations, no names, just designations. Custody Transport 7 Theta, Harvester Class Vessel 22 Gamma. They are older than most Forge worlds. Some date back to before the Heresy, their cores wrapped in technology that even the Mechanicus will not touch without 3 layers of blessing. The Psyker suppression fields that line their holds were designed by minds that understood the warp in ways the modern Imperium has deliberately forgotten. These fields do not simply block psychic powers. They make the immaterium feel distant, like trying to remember a dream while someone shakes you awake. They turn the warp into background noise, static that whispers at the edge of consciousness but never quite resolves into meaning. The Imperium produces psychers the way a body produces cells, constantly, inevitably. 1 in a million births, they say, though the number varies by world, and the Departmento Munitorum stopped tracking precise figures sometime in M38. What matters is the scale. The Imperium has 1 million worlds. Each world has billions of souls. Do the math. Do not dwell on the math. Most psychers manifest between the ages of 8 and 16. The signs vary. Objects moving without touch, thoughts heard without speech, animals dying in a child's presence, dreams that come true, eyes that reflect light the wrong way. The Imperium does not wait for certainty. Suspicion is enough. Better to take 1,000 innocents than let one true psyker go unmonitored. On every Imperial world, there are watchers. Sometimes they are priests of the ecclesiarchy, trained to recognize the signs of witch taint. Sometimes they are arbites, cold enforcers who come in the night. Sometimes they are simply neighbors, good citizens who understand that loyalty means reporting anything strange. The child is taken. The family is told this is an honor. Sometimes this is even true. The child goes to a holding facility. Every planet has one, though they go by different names. Sanctuaries, testing houses, evaluation centers, black cells. The facilities are always windowless, always cold, always staffed by people who have learned not to learn the names of the children in their care. The children stay there for weeks or months while astropathic messages crawl across the void, requesting retrieval. The messages use standardized forms. Designation, possible Theta class. Age, 12 standard. Manifestation, pyrokinetic response under stress. Recommendation, priority retrieval. And eventually, always, the black ship comes, coordinates that change with each visit, coordinates known only to the planetary governor and their most trusted astropaths. The approach is silent, no comm traffic, no hails, just a dark shape growing larger in the void, blotting out stars. Shuttles descend, gray, blocky, functional. They land at the holding facilities at dawn or dusk, times when few people are watching. The local authorities have been notified, but not consulted. This is not a negotiation. This is a harvest. The children are prepared. They have been told they are going to Terra, the holiest world, the center of everything. They have been told they will serve the God Emperor directly. They have been told they are special. Most of them believe it. Most of them want to believe it. It is better than believing they are cursed. They are loaded into the shuttles in groups of 20. They wear gray robes, all identical, made of... On every Imperial world, there are watchers. Sometimes they are priests of the ecclesiarchy, trained to recognize the signs of witch taint. Sometimes they are arbites, cold enforcers who come in the night. Sometimes they are simply neighbors, good citizens who understand that loyalty means reporting anything strange. The child is taken. The family is told this is an honor. Sometimes this is even true. The child goes to a holding facility. Every planet has one, though they go by different names. Sanctuaries, testing houses, evaluation centers, black cells. The facilities are always windowless, always cold, always staffed by people who have learned not to learn the names of the children in their care. The children stay there for weeks or months while astropathic messages crawl across the void, requesting retrieval. The messages use standardized forms. Designation, possible Theta class. Age, 12 standard. Manifestation, pyrokinetic response under stress. Recommendation, priority retrieval. And eventually, always, the black ship comes, coordinates that change with each visit, coordinates known only to the planetary governor and their most trusted astropaths. The approach is silent, no comm traffic, no hails, just a dark shape growing larger in the void, blotting out stars. Shuttles descend, gray, blocky, functional. They land at the holding facilities at dawn or dusk, times when few people are watching. The local authorities have been notified, but not consulted. This is not a negotiation. This is a harvest. The children are prepared. They have been told they are going to Terra, the holiest world, the center of everything. They have been told they will serve the God Emperor directly. They have been told they are special. Most of them believe it. Most of them want to believe it. It is better than believing they are cursed. They are loaded into the shuttles in groups of 20. They wear gray robes, all identical, made of rough fabric that scratches the skin. No personal belongings, no farewells. The older children sometimes cry. The younger ones often smile, excited by the enormity of the shuttles, the adventure of it all. The guards do not react either way. They have seen thousands of these children. They will see thousands more. The shuttle ascends. The children press against the walls, trying to see through the small viewports, catching last glimpses of their world. Some recognize landmarks, the hive they grew up in, the agri-fields they worked, the mountains they saw every day. The world shrinks, becomes a sphere, becomes a marble, becomes a point of light, becomes nothing. The shuttle docks with the black ship. The airlock opens, the temperature drops. The children step through into a corridor that stretches in both directions further than they can see, lit by pale lumens that cast no shadows. The walls are bare metal, cold to the touch. The air smells like recycled scrubbers and ozone, and something else, something acrid and biological that none of them can quite identify. They are herded forward, not roughly but firmly. The guards wear full void suits, helmets sealed, no faces visible. The children walk in silence, their footsteps echoing. Some of them reach out tentatively with their minds, trying to sense the thoughts around them, trying to understand where they are. They feel nothing. The suppression field is absolute. It is like reaching for a limb that has been amputated. The absence is physical, nauseating. They reach a chamber, large, circular, ringed with benches. They are told to sit. They sit. A robed figure enters, an inquisitorial adjunct perhaps, or a senior member of the Scholastica Psychana. The robe is black, the face hidden beneath a deep hood. The figure does not introduce itself. "You are aboard a black ship," the figure says. The voice is neither male nor female, flattened by a vox speaker. "You will remain here for the duration of the journey to Terra. The journey will take between 6 months and 2 years, depending on warp conditions. You will obey all instructions. You will not resist. Resistance is heresy. Cooperation is duty. Do you understand?" Some of the children nod. Some say nothing. One girl, no more than 10, raises her hand. "Will we see our families again?" The figure turns toward her. For a long moment, there is no response. Then, "You serve the Emperor now. The Emperor is your family." The girl nods slowly. She does not ask again. The children are divided, sorted, categorized. This is done quickly, efficiently, without explanation. Some children are led to one section of the ship, others to another. They do not know why. They will never know why. The decision is made by functionaries who consult data slates and gene scanners, checking readings against thresholds set centuries ago by departments that no longer exist. The majority of the children end up in the general holds. These are vast chambers, stacked floor to ceiling with bunks welded directly into the walls. Each bunk is a meter wide, 2 meters long, enclosed on 3 sides. A slot, essentially. A place to sleep and nothing more. There are no mattresses, only thin foam pads that smell of disinfectant. There are no blankets, though the temperature is kept just above freezing. The children learn quickly to sleep curled tight, conserving warmth. There are no names anymore. Each child is given a designation upon boarding, a letter, a number, a deck assignment. K4477, M90112. They are told to memorize it. They are told to respond when it is called. Some of them remember their real names, whispering them to themselves in the dark. Others forget within weeks, the old name dissolving like sugar in water, the designation becoming all they are. The holds are always full. As one black ship completes its route and delivers its cargo to Terra, another begins its circuit, visiting world after world, collecting children. There are dozens of black ships in operation at any given time, maybe hundreds. The exact number is classified even from most of the administratum. Each ship can carry thousands of Psykers. The holds are designed for capacity, not comfort. The children live in the holds. They sleep there, eat there, spend every hour there, except for the brief periods when they are summoned elsewhere. There is no privacy, no personal space. The bunks are stacked so close that you can hear the breathing of the child above you, below you, beside you. You can hear them cry. You can hear them pray. You can hear them sometimes, in the deepest part of the night, lose their minds. The suppression field makes everything feel muted, distant. Emotions become harder to access. Memories feel like they belong to someone else. The children move through their days in a kind of fog, responding to instructions without quite understanding them. This is intentional. The field does not just suppress psychic powers. It suppresses the self. It makes obedience easier. Food arrives twice a day. Gray nutrient paste dispensed from nozzles into metal bowls. It tastes like nothing, or like everything, or like the memory of taste. It provides exactly the calories needed to keep a human body functioning. Nothing more. Some children refuse to eat at first, repulsed by the texture, the blandness. They are not forced, they are simply left alone. Hunger is a better teacher than any sermon. By the third day, they eat. There are latrines, communal and open. There are sonic showers, 3 minutes per person per week. There are no games, no books, no distractions. The children sit in their bunks and stare at the walls. Some of them talk to each other, forming tentative friendships, alliances against the emptiness. Others retreat inward, speaking to no one, their eyes growing distant. Time loses meaning. There are no windows, no day-night cycle. The lights dim slightly every 12 hours, a concession to human biology, but it is not enough. The children stop knowing whether it has been days or weeks. They stop caring. There is only the hold, the walls, the waiting. Her designation is T6344. She does not remember her name. She thinks it might have started with an M, Mira, maybe, or Marin, but she is not certain, and there is no one to ask. She is 14 standard years old, though she will never have another birthday. Birthdays are not tracked aboard the black ships. She came from a hive world. She remembers tall spires and low smog and the constant sound of machinery. She remembers her mother worked in a textile factory, sewing uniforms for the Astra Militarum, and her father was dead, killed in a gang fight when she was 6. She remembers school, a crumbling building where a single teacher instructed 200 children, most of whom could not read. She manifested at 12. It started with dreams. Dreams where she knew things she should not know, that her neighbor was sick, that there would be a fire in Block 7, that the Arbites were coming. The dreams were always true. Then came the headaches, sharp and sudden, accompanied by flashes of other people's thoughts pressing against her mind like voices shouting in a crowded room. Her mother knew what it meant. Everyone knew what it meant. Her mother held her that night, crying, and in the morning called the ecclesiarchy. T6344 does not blame her. There was no choice. The alternative was to hide a Psyker, to risk demonic possession, to invite the Inquisition down on their entire hab block. Her mother did what any loyal citizen would do. She spent 4 months in the holding facility. The priests tested her, placing objects in front of her and asking her to move them with her mind. She could not. They showed her images and asked her what emotions the people in the images were feeling. She answered correctly every time. They wrote notes on data slates and nodded to each other and told her nothing. The black ship arrived at night. She remembers the shuttle ride, the way her stomach lurched during ascent, the way the older boy next to her vomited into a disposal bag and no one reacted. She remembers boarding the ship, the cold, the silence. She remembers being sorted. A woman in a black robe scanned her with a handheld device, frowned at the reading, made a notation. T6344 was sent to Hold 7, Deck 12. That was 3 months ago, or 4 months, or 6. She is not sure anymore. She has learned the routines. Wake when the lights brighten. Line up for food. Return to your bunk. Wait. The waiting is the hardest part. There is nothing to do, nothing to occupy the mind. She tries to remember her life before. The The Hive, her mother, the smell of the textile factory, but the memories are fading, eroded by the suppression field and the monotony. She talks to the girl in the bunk beside hers. The girl's designation is T6401, but she says her name is Lena, and she makes T63444 promise to remember it. Lena is 12, small and pale, with hair shaved down to stubble like all the children. She manifested as a pyrokinetic, accidentally burning her family's HAB unit when she was angry. She cries sometimes at night, quiet sobs that she tries to muffle against her thin foam pad. T6344 does not cry. She does not know why. She thinks maybe the suppression field has taken that from her too. She feels numb, hollowed out like a shell. She follows instructions. She eats, she sleeps, she exists. The problem begins in a way that no one aboard the ship notices. Deep in the engineerium, past bulkheads sealed with consecrated locks and monitored by servitors whose eyes have been replaced with scanner arrays, there is a coolant line. It is 40 meters long, 2 centimeters in diameter, made of a plasteel composite that was rated for 10,000 years of service when it was installed in M36. It is now M41. The line is older than some Imperial subsectors. The line develops a microfracture, a crack so small it would be invisible to the naked eye, a weakness in the molecular structure caused by millennia of thermal expansion and contraction. Coolant begins to leak. Not much, a few milliliters per hour, evaporating almost instantly in the heat of the engineerium. The servitors do not notice. They are calibrated to detect major system failures, ruptured pipes, overheating reactors, warp drive malfunctions. A slow coolant leak does not cross their thresholds. The tech priests assigned to the ship perform their weekly rituals, anointing the machines with sacred oils, chanting the litany of ignition, checking pressure gauges and flow rates. The leak is too small to register on their instruments. The coolant line feeds into a tertiary cooling system for one of the ship's plasma conduits. The conduit runs along Deck 12, carrying power to the life support systems for holds 7 through 11. As the coolant level drops, the conduit begins to run slightly hotter than optimal, not dangerously hot, just hotter. The temperature in hold 7 increases by 2 degrees, then 3, then 5. The children notice. Of course they notice. They are already cold, their thin robes inadequate insulation, their bodies running lean on minimal calories. The sudden warmth is disorienting. Some of them welcome it at first, pressing against the walls nearest the conduit, savoring the heat. But the temperature continues to rise. 5 degrees becomes 8, 8 becomes 12. The hold, designed to be kept at a constant 10 degrees Celsius, climbs to 22 degrees, then 25. The air becomes thick, stale. The ventilation system struggles to compensate, recycling the same breath over and over. T6344 wakes to the heat. It is oppressive, pressing down on her like a weight. She sits up in her bunk, disoriented. Around her, other children are stirring, pulling at their robes, gasping. Lena, in the bunk beside hers, is already awake, her face flushed red. "It's so hot," Lena whispers. T6344 nods. She climbs out of her bunk, her feet touching the metal floor. It is warm, too warm. She walks toward the center of the hold, where a Vox panel is mounted on the wall. She has never used it before. She is not sure if she is allowed to. She presses the activation rune. There's a click, then silence. She waits. No response. "Hello?" she says. Her voice sounds small in the vast space of the hold. Nothing. She presses the rune again. The temperature is rising. Something is wrong. Still nothing. She steps back. Around her, more children are waking, their voices rising in confusion and fear. The temperature continues to climb. The Vox message from Hold 7 is logged by a servitor on the bridge at 4:17 ship time. The servitor catalogs it under Minor Environmental Query and queues it for review by the duty officer. The duty officer is a junior member of the ship's administrative staff, an aging man named Proctor Venn who has served aboard black ships for 30 years. He will review the queue when his shift begins at 6. At 05:43, the temperature in Hold 7 reaches 31 degrees Celsius. Several of the younger children have begun to vomit, their bodies unable to regulate heat effectively on their limited caloric intake. The hold smells of sweat and bile. T6344 presses the Vox panel again and again. No one responds. He reaches the message from Hold 7 at 6:34. He reads it, frowns, temperature anomaly. He cross-references with the ship's environmental logs. The system shows hold 7 at 18 degrees Celsius, elevated but within acceptable parameters. He assumes the Vox message is an overreaction, a child unused to the ship's climate controls. He marks the message as resolved, no action required, and moves to the next item in the queue. At 7:12, the temperature in hold 7 reaches 36 degrees Celsius. The children are no longer sitting in their bunks. They have congregated near the far wall, as far from the overheating conduit as possible. Some of them are lying on the floor, too weak to stand. Lena is trembling, her breathing shallow. T6344 is trying to help her, pressing her thin robe against Lena's forehead to wick away sweat. "Why isn't anyone coming?" Lena asks. T6344 does not answer. She does not know. At 08, the suppression field in hold 7 begins to fluctuate. This is not intentional. The field is powered by the same conduit that is overheating, and as the conduit's temperature rises, the field's output becomes erratic. For brief moments, seconds at a time, the suppression weakens. The children feel it immediately. It is like surfacing from deep water, gasping for air. Their psychic abilities, dormant and muted for weeks or months, flicker back to life. T6344 feels a sudden rush of sensation, thoughts, emotions, fears pressing against her mind from every direction. She gasps, clutching her head. Around her, other children are screaming. A boy near the back of the hold is convulsing, his hands sparking with uncontrolled electrical discharge. A girl is weeping, her tears turning to ice on her cheeks. The field stabilizes, the sensations vanish. The children collapse, panting, terrified. At 0820, an alarm sounds on the bridge. The ship's systems have detected a suppression, fluctuation in hold 7. This is a priority 1 alert. Proctor Venn stands immediately, his fatigue forgotten. He pulls up the environmental logs for hold 7. The temperature reading is now correct, 37 degrees Celsius and climbing. He curses under his breath. He activates the ship-wide Vox. Engineering, this is Bridge. We have a critical temperature anomaly on deck 12, hold 7. Dispatch a team immediately. The Vox crackles. Acknowledged, Bridge. Team dispatched. Venn sits back down. He pulls up the earlier Vox message from hold 7, the one he marked as resolved. He stares at it. His hands are shaking. The engineering team arrives at hold 7 at 9:03. They are led by a tech priest named Magos Uriel, a hunched figure wrapped in red robes, their face hidden behind a bronze mask. They carry scanning equipment, toolkits, portable cogitators. They do not enter the hold. They stand outside the sealed door, taking readings. Tertiary coolant line failure, Magos Uriel announces, their voice a flat monotone through a Vox speaker. Plasma conduit overheating. Repairs will require shutdown of power to decks 10 through 14. How long? Proctor Venn asks. He has come down from the bridge, unable to sit still. 16 hours. Can we evacuate the hold? Magos Uriel tilts their head, considering. Negative. No available space on other decks. All holds at capacity. Venn stares at the tech priest. So the children stay in there? At 37 degrees? Correct? For 16 hours? Correct. Venn feels something twist in his chest. He has spent 30 years aboard black ships. He has learned not to think of the cargo as children, as people. They are Psykers, potential threats, resources to be delivered to Terra. Thinking of them any other way makes the job impossible. But he is thinking of them now. They'll die, he says quietly. Magos Uriel does not respond immediately. Then, acceptable losses, mortality projections 14%, within operational parameters. Venn opens his mouth, closes it. He wants to argue, to demand another solution. But there is no other solution. The ship has redundancies, backups, but they are allocated elsewhere, supporting other systems, other holds. Resources are finite. Choices have been made. Hold 7 is not a priority. He nods slowly. Begin repairs. The tech priest inclines their head and turns away, their team following. Venn stands alone outside hold 7. He can hear the children inside, their voices muffled through the thick door. He activates the Vox panel beside the door. It connects to the internal system, allowing him to speak into the hold. This is Proctor Venn, he says. His voice echoes in the hold. There is a malfunction in your environmental system. We are working to repair it. In the meantime, conserve your energy. Drink water if available. Remain calm. This will be resolved within 1 day. He releases the Vox. He does not wait for a response. He returns to the bridge. Inside Hold 7, T-6344 hears the announcement, "One day." She looks at Lena, who is lying on the floor, her eyes half closed. She looks at the other children, many of them in similar states. One day, she understands suddenly with perfect clarity. This was always going to happen. Not this specific failure, not this specific hold, but something. The ship is old, the systems are old. The Imperium is vast and indifferent, and they are Psykers, witches, less than human. The ship does not care if they die. The ship cares that the majority survive, that the quota is met, that Terra receives its tithe of souls. They are numbers. They have always been numbers. She sits down beside Lena. She takes the younger girl's hand. Lena's skin is burning hot. "It's gonna be okay," T-6344 whispers. She does not believe it, but she says it anyway. The temperature in Hold 7 continues to rise. By hour 3, it reaches 41 degrees Celsius. By hour 6, 44 degrees. The children have stopped moving. They lie where they are, panting, their bodies shutting down. The hold reeks of sweat and urine and fear. The suppression field continues to fluctuate. Each time it weakens, the children's psychic abilities surge uncontrollably. T-6344 feels it as a cacophony of thoughts, 1,000 voices screaming in her mind. She sees flashes of other lives, memories that are not hers, emotions that do not belong to her. A boy reliving his father's death. A girl feeling the weight of everyone who has ever hated her. A child remembering the moment they burned their home, the smell of their siblings' flesh. And then the field stabilizes and the silence crashes down, and it is almost worse. At hour 9, a boy near the front of the hold begins seizing. His body arches, his eyes roll back, foam bubbles from his mouth. T-6344 watches, helpless. She does not know how to help. No one does. The boy seizes for 3 minutes, then goes still. His chest stops moving. No one announces it. No one needs to. They all understand. The first death. At hour 11, Lena stops responding. T-6344 shakes her gently, calling her designation. T-6401, T-6401, stay awake. But Lena's eyes are closed, her breathing shallow and erratic. T-6344 presses 2 fingers to Lena's neck, feeling for a pulse. It is there, faint and rapid, like a bird trapped in a cage. "Lena," T-6344 whispers, using the name, the real name. "Please." Lena does not wake. At hour 14, the suppression field fails completely. It is not a fluctuation this time. It is a collapse. The field, strained beyond its designed tolerances by the overheating conduit, shuts down. The effect is immediate and catastrophic. Every child in Hold 7 feels the warp flood back into their consciousness. It is like a dam breaking, like being struck by lightning, like drowning and breathing at the same time. The psychic abilities they have suppressed for weeks or months explode outward, uncontrolled, unfiltered. A girl screams, and the scream is not just sound, it is psychic force, a wave of terror that ripples through the minds of everyone nearby. Children collapse, clutching their heads, blood streaming from their noses and ears. A boy's anger ignites, literally. Flames erupt from his hands, licking up the walls, spreading across the bunks. The heat, already unbearable, becomes infernal. Another child, a telepath like T-6344, opens their mind fully, trying to make sense of the chaos. Instead, they become a conduit. Every thought, every emotion, every dying fear in the hold pours into them and then out again, amplified, reflected. The feedback loop is instant. The child's mind shatters. T-6344 feels it all. She is on her knees, her hands pressed to her temples, trying to block it out. But there is no blocking it. The warp is open, the veil is thin, and something else is noticing. She feels it before she sees it. A presence. Cold and vast and hungry. It presses against the edge of her perception, drawn by the psychic chaos like a shark to blood. A daemon, or the possibility of a daemon, or the shadow of something that could become a daemon if it is allowed to manifest. She tries to scream a warning, but her voice is lost in the maelstrom. And then abruptly, the field comes back online. Magos Uriel and their team have completed the repairs. The coolant line has been sealed, the conduit temperature is dropping, the suppression field is restored, the warp recedes. The presence vanishes, the psychic chaos stops, the hold goes silent. T-6344 collapses. She lies on the floor, gasping, her body shaking. Around her, the other children are stirring, groaning, weeping. Some are not moving at all. The temperature begins to drop, slowly. 42 degrees, 40 degrees, 38 degrees. By the time it reaches normal levels, 17 children are dead. The door to Hold 7 opens at hour 16, just as Proctor Venn promised. 2 servitors enter first, their optical sensors sweeping the room. Behind them come orderlies in void suits, carrying stretchers and body bags. The orderlies move efficiently. They check each child, feeling for pulses, assessing responsiveness. The living are given water rations and nutrient paste. The dead are placed in body bags, gray plasteel bags sealed with molecular bonding strips. The bags are labeled with the deceased's designation and loaded onto automated cargo sleds. T-6344 is alive, barely. She is lifted onto a stretcher, her body limp, her eyes staring at nothing. Beside her, Lena is being checked by an orderly. The orderly places 2 fingers on Lena's neck, pauses, checks again, then reaches for a body bag. T-6344 tries to speak. Her lips move, but no sound comes out. The orderly does not notice. They seal Lena in the bag and move to the next child. The survivors are moved to a temporary recovery hold on Deck 9. It is smaller, cleaner, better ventilated. They are given medical examinations, cursory, functional. No one asks how they feel. No one explains what happened. They are simply processed, cataloged, and returned to the system. T-6344 lies in a new bunk, staring at a new ceiling. She does not cry. She does not think. She simply exists, hollowed out, a shell. 3 days later, she is returned to Hold 7. It has been cleaned, the scorch marks scrubbed away, the smell purged by atmospheric processors. New children have been added, another harvest from another world. The hold is full again. T-6344 sits in her bunk. The designation beside hers now reads T-7802, a new girl, younger, frightened. The girl looks at T-6344, opens her mouth to speak. T-6344 turns away. She does not want to know the girl's name. On the bridge, Proctor Venn completes his incident report. It is a standardized form, 3 pages long, transmitted via encrypted astropathic relay to the Departamento Munitorum on Terra. The relevant sections read: Incident Summary, Environmental System Failure, Deck 12, Hold 7. Tertiary coolant line fracture resulting in plasma conduit overheating. Suppression field temporarily offline. Duration 16 hours. Casualties 17 Psyker class designates, 0 crew. Resolution: repairs completed. System restored to full functionality. Recommendations: none. Incident within acceptable operational parameters. Venn reads the report twice before submitting it. The words feel inadequate. 17 children died. Not Psyker class designates. Children. Children who had names, lives, families. Children who died slowly, horribly, while he stood outside and did nothing. But the words on the report are the truth of the Imperium. Numbers, categories, parameters. He submits the report. It is transmitted into the warp, carried by psychic currents across the void. It will reach Terra in 3 months. It will be read by a low-level functionary who will file it in a database that no one will ever review. It will be forgotten. Venn stands and leaves the bridge. He walks to his quarters, seals the door, and sits on his bunk. He does not pray. He has not prayed in years. He simply sits, staring at the wall, and wonders how many more children he will watch die before his tour ends. He does not have an answer. The black ship moves through the void, silent and indifferent. In its holds, thousands of Psykers sleep and wake and eat and wait. They do not know where they are. They do not know how much longer the journey will last. They are told nothing, and they learn not to ask. Some of them will survive the journey. They will reach Terra. They will be sorted again, tested, categorized. The strongest will be trained as sanctioned Psykers, their abilities bound and controlled, their minds scoured of independence. Others will be sent to the Scholastica Psychana to become astropaths, their eyes burned out in the ritual of soul binding, their lifespans measured in decades of service before their minds break. Some will be fed to the Astronomicon, their souls consumed to keep the Emperor's light burning, 1,000 Psykers dying every day to sustain the beacon that guides the Imperium through the warp. And some, many, will die before reaching Terra. Disease, despair, system failures, the warp itself, pressing against the ship's gellar fields, whispering madness through the cracks. The black ships lose a percentage of their cargo on every voyage. This is expected, factored into projections, acceptable. T-6344 does not know any of this. She knows only the hold, the walls, the endless waiting. She has stopped trying to remember her name. She has stopped thinking about her mother, her world, her life before. There is only now, the present moment stretching into infinity. She sits in her bunk, she eats when food is distributed, she sleeps when the lights dim, she exists. This is what life is like inside a black ship full of Psykers. Not dramatic, not heroic, not even tragic in the classical sense. Just inevitable, a system functioning as designed. The black ship translates into the warp 3 weeks after the incident in Hold 7. No announcement is made. The children do not feel the transition. The suppression fields see to that. But the crew knows. They always know. There is a sensation, subtle but unmistakable, like the moment before falling asleep when reality becomes uncertain. The gellar fields engage, wrapping the ship in a bubble of real space, a membrane between the material universe and the howling madness of the Imperium. The fields are ancient, their generators humming with technologies that predate the Imperium itself. They are maintained by prayer as much as engineering, blessed daily by tech priests who understand that faith and function are inseparable when dealing with the warp. Outside the ship, if outside can be said to exist in the warp, there is no darkness and no light. There are colors that have no names, geometries that break mathematics, sounds that are textures, and textures that are emotions. There are things watching, always watching, drawn to the ship like moths to flame, like predators to wounded prey. The ship carries thousands of Psykers. Even with the suppression fields running at maximum, even with the gellar fields holding firm, the psychic presence bleeds through. It cannot be helped. It is like trying to hide a bonfire by covering it with a blanket. The ship glows in the warp, a beacon of souls, and the things that live there press against the barriers, testing, probing, waiting for the smallest weakness. The crew does not speak of this. They walk the corridors and perform their duties and pretend that the walls are not vibrating with pressure that has no physical source. They pretend they do not hear the whispers that come from nowhere, speaking in languages they do not know but somehow understand. They pretend they do not see the shadows that move wrong, the corridors that seem longer than they should be, the faces in the corners of their vision that vanish when they turn to look. The children in the holds know nothing of this. The suppression fields keep them ignorant, keep them safe in their ignorance. They sleep and wake and eat and wait, unaware that they are traveling through a dimension where thought and reality are the same thing, where their very existence is an invitation to horrors beyond comprehension. T6344 Dreams. The suppression field dampens her psychic abilities, but it cannot stop dreams entirely. Dreams are the mind's way of processing, of sorting, of surviving. She dreams of Lena. In the dreams, Lena is not dead. Lena is sitting beside her, laughing, telling stories about her home world. The dreams feel more real than waking. When T6344 wakes, the loss is fresh every time, raw and immediate. She does not speak of the dreams. There is no one to speak to. The girl in the bunk beside hers, T7802, tried to introduce herself once. T6344 pretended not to hear. It is easier that way, safer. Names make things real. Designations keep them distant. The warp journey lasts 4 months, or 5 months, or 6. Time is unreliable in the warp, flowing at different rates, doubling back on itself, skipping forward in jumps. The crew maintains a chronometer based on ship's time, but they know it is approximate at best. What matters is that the navigator, a mutant psyker whose third eye can perceive the warp's currents, guides them true. What matters is that the gellar fields hold. What matters is that they emerge. On what the chronometer marks as day 147 of the warp journey, something goes wrong. It begins in Hold 3, Deck 8. A boy, designation K2156, wakes screaming. His mind, even under suppression, has touched something in the warp. Just for an instant. Just long enough. He is 12 years old. He was a low-level telepath on his home world, capable of sensing emotions but nothing more. But the warp does not care about capability. It cares about potential. And in the warp, potential and reality are fluid concepts. K2156 sees things, visions, memories that are not his own. He sees civilizations burning, worlds consumed, children fed into machines that grind them into paste. He sees the God Emperor not as the golden saint of the ecclesiarchy's teachings, but as a rotting corpse locked in eternal agony, sustained by the daily sacrifice of 1,000 souls. He sees the truth of the Imperium, that it is built on bones, that it survives by devouring its children, that there is no salvation, only Yenshu continuation through endless suffering. He screams, and his scream is not just sound. It is psychic force, amplified by terror and proximity to the warp. It ripples through Hold 3, touching the minds of other children. They see what he sees. They feel what he feels. Panic spreads. Children scramble from their bunks, disoriented, terrified. Some of them clutch their heads trying to block out the visions. Others huddle together, seeking comfort that does not exist. A few, those with stronger psychic abilities, begin to manifest uncontrolled powers. A girl's hands crackle with electricity. A boy's eyes glow with unnatural light. The suppression field in Hold 3 strains. It was designed for passive suppression, not active resistance. The combined psychic output of hundreds of frightened Psykers pushes against it like water against a dam. On the bridge, alarms sound. Red lights flash across the cogitator banks. The officer on duty, a woman named Commander Thrace, reads the alerts and feels ice in her veins. Psychic event Hold 3, she announces. Suppression field at 78% capacity and dropping. The captain, a grizzled veteran named Mordant, is beside her in seconds. Seal the hold, he orders. Emergency lockdown, full suppression, all available power. Captain, that will drain power from Holds 4 and 5. Do it. The order is transmitted. Power diverts. The suppression field in Hold 3 intensifies, pushing down hard on the children's minds, smothering their abilities with overwhelming force. It is not gentle. It is not surgical. It is a hammer. K2156, the boy at the center of the incident, collapses. Blood streams from his nose, his ears, his eyes. His mind, already fractured by what he saw in the warp, cannot withstand the pressure. Something inside him breaks, not just psychically, but physically. His brain hemorrhages. He dies in seconds. The other children in Hold 3 feel the pressure but survive. The panic subsides, crushed under the weight of the field. They return to their bunks, shaking, weeping, but alive. In Holds 4 and 5, where power has been diverted, the suppression field weakens to 60% capacity. The children there feel it immediately, a sudden lightness, a clarity they have not experienced in months. Their abilities flicker to life. Most of them do nothing. They are too frightened, too conditioned, but a few cannot help themselves. A girl in Hold 4 reaches out with her mind, seeking her sister, who was taken on the same day but sent to a different hold. She does not find her sister. Instead, she touches something else. Something in the warp. Something that has been waiting. It is not a daemon. Not yet. It is a potential daemon, a seed of corruption, a whisper of chaos. It presses against the Gellar field, finding the weak point, the psychic connection the girl has opened, thin as a thread, fragile as glass. The girl screams. Her mind is invaded, flooded with sensations that human consciousness was never meant to process. Her body convulses. Her eyes turn black. She speaks in a voice that is not hers, words in a language that hurts to hear. The suppression field in Hold 4 registers the anomaly. Automatically, it intensifies, crushing the girl's consciousness, severing the connection. The girl falls silent. She is alive, but her mind is gone, scooped out and discarded. She will never speak again. She will never think again. She will breathe and eat and excrete until her body fails, but there is nothing behind her eyes. On the bridge, Captain Mordant watches the incident logs scroll across his screen. 2 psychic events in 10 minutes, 1 fatality, 1 vegetative state. Gellar fields holding, but strained. We're too close to Terra to turn back, he says quietly, and too far from the last port to request support, we continue. Commander Thrace nods. She has served under Mordant for 8 years. She knows he is right. There is no other choice. The black ships do not turn back. They deliver their cargo or they die trying. Increase Gellar field output by 15%, Mordant orders, and run a full diagnostic on all suppression systems. I want to know if we have any other weak points. The orders are carried out. The ship continues through the warp, its hull groaning under stresses that defy physics, its cargo of Psykers dreaming their suppressed dreams, its crew moving through their routines with the tired determination of those who have no alternative. In Hold 7, T-6344 feels the fluctuations. The suppression field wavers, just for moments, and in those moments she senses things. Fragments of thoughts from other holds. Fear, pain, confusion. and something else, something vast and cold and utterly inhuman, pressing against the edges of perception. She does not understand what she is sensing. She has no framework for it, but she knows instinctively that it is wrong, that it should not be there, that its presence is a violation of some fundamental law. She curls up in her bunk and closes her eyes and waits for the sensation to pass. It does eventually. Suppression field stabilizes. The fragments vanish. She is alone again in the muted silence of the hold. But something has changed. She cannot name it, but she feels it. A knowledge, wordless and terrible, that they are not safe, that they have never been safe, that the ship is surrounded by things that want to tear them apart and devour them, and the only thing keeping those things at bay are machines that are old and tired and held together by prayers. She looks around the hold, hundreds of children, all of them sleeping or sitting or staring at nothing, all of them Psykers, all of them cursed by the accident of their birth, by the genetic lottery that gave them abilities the Imperium fears and needs in equal measure. She wonders how many of them will reach Terra. She wonders if she will reach Terra. She wonders if it matters. The lights dim, signaling the rest cycle. T6344 lies down on her thin foam pad. She does not sleep. She stares at the ceiling and counts the rivets in the metal panels above her. She has counted them before. There are 247 rivets in her field of vision. She counts them again anyway. It gives her something to do, something to occupy her mind that is not fear. Somewhere in the hold, a child is crying. The sound is soft, muffled, but persistent. No one goes to comfort them. There is no comfort to give. T6344 closes her eyes. She counts rivets in her mind. 247. Always 247. She does not dream. The black ship translates out of the warp on what the chronometer marks as day 183. The transition is smooth, controlled. The navigator has done their job well. They emerge in real space 3 million kilometers from Terra, within the inner system, within sight of the cradle of humanity. Terra, the throne world, the center of the Imperium, home to quadrillions of souls, wrapped in layers of orbital platforms and defense stations and administrative hives that extend from the surface to the edge of the atmosphere. The planet itself is barely visible beneath the construction, a core of rock buried under millennia of human civilization. The black ship does not approach Terra directly. It heads instead for Luna, Terra's ancient moon, where the fortress monasteries of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica are carved into the gray rock. Luna is where the Psykers will be sorted, tested, trained, or consumed. It is the end of the journey for the children in the holds. No announcement is made. The children do not know they have arrived. They continue their routines, eating, sleeping, waiting. But the crew knows. There is a palpable sense of relief aboard the ship, a loosening of tension that has been building for months. They have survived another journey. They have delivered their cargo. The ship docks at Luna Station Secundus, a massive orbital platform that serves as the primary intake facility for Psyker-class designates. The docking procedure takes 4 hours. Protocols are strict, inspections thorough. No ship is allowed to berth until it has been scanned for warp contamination, demonic influence, and structural compromise. The black ship passes inspection. It always does. The Imperium builds its black ships to endure. At 14 Horde station time, the holds are opened. Not all at once, one by one in order. Hold 1 first, then hold 2, then hold 3. By the time they reach hold 7, it is 19 Horde. The children have been waiting for hours, sensing that something is different, that the journey is ending. Some of them are excited, most are afraid. The door opens. A robed figure enters, accompanied by servitors and armed guards. The figure is tall, imposing, wrapped in the black and gold robes of the Scholastica Psychana. "You have arrived at Luna," the figure announces. "You will disembark in order. Follow the servitors. Do not speak. Do not resist. Obedience is duty." The children stand. They line up as they have been trained to do. They follow the servitors out of the hold, through corridors they have never seen, toward a future they cannot imagine. T6344 walks in line, her designation called and confirmed. She moves through the ship, past crew members who do not look at her, past sealed doors and flickering lumens. She boards a shuttle, packed in with 50 other children. The shuttle detaches from the black ship and descends toward Luna's surface. Through a small viewport, T-6344 catches a glimpse of the black ship as the shuttle pulls away. It is enormous, larger than she realized, a vast dark shape against the stars. She watches it recede. She does not feel relief. She does not feel sorrow. She feels nothing. The shuttle lands in a cavernous hangar bay carved into Luna's bedrock. The children disembark. They are herded into processing chambers, vast spaces filled with cogitators and examination tables and robed functionaries who move with practiced efficiency. T-6344 is scanned. Blood is drawn. Her psychic potential is measured using devices she does not understand. She is asked questions, her designation, her age, her manifestation history. She answers in a flat monotone. The functionary taking notes does not react. After processing, she is assigned to Barracks 17, Sublevel 8. She is given a new robe, white not gray, and directed to follow a servitor. The servitor leads her through tunnels that twist and descend, deeper into the moon. The air grows colder. The walls are bare stone, marked with aquelas and purity seals. Barracks 17 is another hold, essentially. Bunks stacked along walls, hundreds of children already present, sitting or sleeping or staring. T-6344 is assigned a bunk. She climbs into it. She lies down. She is on Luna. She is at Terra. She has reached the end of the journey. But it does not feel like an ending. It feels like a transition, from one hold to another, from one system to another. She is still a number, still a resource, still waiting. 3 weeks after arrival, T-6344 is summoned. Her designation is called over the barracks Vox system. She rises from her bunk and follows the servitor that appears at the door. The servitor leads her through tunnels she has not seen before, ascending now toward the surface levels. They reach a chamber. It is circular, high-ceilinged, lit by candles that burn with unnatural steadiness. The walls are covered in inscriptions, high Gothic prayers, mathematical formulas, psychic wards. In the center of the chamber is a throne, and in the throne sits a figure wrapped in golden robes. An astropath, ancient beyond measure, their skin like parchment stretched over bone, their eye sockets empty and scarred. They are a master of the Scholastica Psychana, a psyker who has undergone the soul binding and survived. "Approach," the astropath says. Their voice is a whisper, but it fills the chamber. T-6344 steps forward. She is afraid, but the fear is distant, muted by months of suppression and resignation. "You have been evaluated," the astropath continues. "Your psychic potential is moderate, Theta class, suitable for training. You will become an astropath. You will serve the Imperium. You will relay messages across the stars. This is your purpose." T-6344 nods. She does not know what else to do. "The soul binding will occur in 3 days, the astropath says. You will be taken before the Golden Throne. You will stand in the presence of the God Emperor himself. His psychic might will burn through you, scouring your soul, binding your power to his will. Most survive, some do not. This is the price of service." T-6344 feels something then, not fear, but a kind of awe. The God Emperor, the master of mankind. She will stand before him. "Do you accept this duty?" the astropath asks. "Yes," T-6344 says. Her voice is small but steady. "Then go, prepare yourself, pray. When you are called, you will answer." The servitor leads her back to the barracks. She climbs into her bunk. She does not sleep. She thinks about the soul binding, about standing before the Emperor, about what it means to have her soul touched by a god. 3 days pass. She is summoned again. This time, she is not alone. 50 children walk with her, all of them silent, all of them dressed in white robes marked with the symbol of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. They are led to a transport shuttle. The shuttle ascends from Luna, crossing the void to Terra itself. Terra. T-6344 sees it through the viewport, a world encased in metal and stone, its surface hidden beneath millennia of construction. The shuttle descends through layers of atmosphere choked with pollution, past orbital platforms the size of continents, toward the surface. They land at the Imperial Palace. The palace is not a building. It is a mountain range, carved and sculpted and built upon until it covers half a continent. Spires reach into the sky, kilometers tall, connected by bridges and transit tubes. The walls are golden, inscribed with the deeds of heroes, the names of martyrs. The children disembark. They are led through corridors that defy comprehension, hallways wide enough to march armies through, ceilings lost in shadow, walls covered in frescoes depicting the Great Crusade and the Emperor's triumph. Servitors line the route, silent and motionless. Guards in golden armor stand at every intersection, their faces hidden behind helmets. They descend, down and down through levels that grow older, more ancient, until the walls are no longer gold but bare stone, carved from Terra's bedrock. They pass through checkpoints manned by custodians, the Emperor's personal guards, warriors who radiate an aura of barely contained lethality. Finally, they reach a door. It is immense, 50 meters tall, sealed with locks that have not been opened in centuries. Robed figures, priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus, chant prayers in High Gothic. The locks disengage. The door opens. Beyond is the Sanctum Imperialis, the throne room. The children enter. The chamber is vast, larger than any space T-6344 has ever seen. The walls are lost in darkness. The ceiling is invisible. And in the center, upon a throne of gold and adamantium, sits the God Emperor of mankind. He is a corpse. T-6344 sees that immediately. A withered, ancient body, more skeleton than flesh, kept alive by the machines that surround the throne, tubes and wires and humming devices that pulse with energy. The throne itself is a prison and a life support system, binding him in place, sustaining him through technologies that blend science and sorcery. But his presence is undeniable. His psychic might radiates from the throne like heat from a star, filling the chamber, pressing against the minds of everyone present. T-6344 falls to her knees, overwhelmed. It is not devotion. It is reflex. The weight of his consciousness is too great to resist. The ritual begins. The priests chant. The children are brought forward one by one. Each child kneels before the throne. Each child opens their mind, lowering their defenses, allowing the Emperor's psychic power to flow into them. T-6344 watches as the child ahead of her undergoes the binding. The child screams. Light blazes from their eyes, and then it is over. The child stands, their eyes gone, burned away, replaced by empty sockets. They are led away by servitors. T-6344's turn comes. She kneels. She opens her mind. The Emperor's presence crashes into her like a tidal wave. She feels his power, vast and terrible and ancient, burning through her consciousness. She feels her sense of self dissolving, her memories scattering, her identity fragmenting under the pressure. And then for just an instant, she feels him. Not his power, but his mind, his awareness. She feels the weight of 10,000 years of agony, of sitting immobile on the golden throne, of holding the Imperium together through sheer will. She feels his grief, his rage, his love for humanity, his hatred of what humanity has become. She feels him recognize her, not as T-6344, not as a Psyker, but as a child, a soul, a fragment of the species he spent his existence trying to shepherd. And she feels something that might be pity. The binding completes. Fire blazes through her eyes, her optic nerves burning away. She screams. And then it is over. She stands. The world is dark. She will never see again. But she can sense the warp now, clearly, precisely. Her psychic abilities no longer a curse, but a tool, bound to the Emperor's will, focused and controlled. She is led away. She is an astropath now. She has a purpose. Years pass. T-6344 serves. She relays messages across the void, her mind reaching through the warp to touch other astropaths on distant worlds. She transmits orders from the Administratum, distress calls from embattled worlds, reports from inquisitorial agents. She does not know what most of the messages mean. She is a conduit, nothing more. She lives in a small cell in an astropathic relay station on a world whose name she does not know. She eats, she works, she prays. She does not remember her mother's face. She does not remember the hive she grew up in. She barely remembers being called T-6344, but she remembers Lena. Sometimes in the quiet moments between transmissions, she whispers the name, Lena, just to prove that names matter, that people are not just numbers, that the girl who died in Hold 7 existed, had a life, deserved to be remembered. She does not know if Lena would have become an astropath or been fed to the Astronomicon or died in training. She does not know if it matters. The Imperium continues. The black ships continue their routes, harvesting Psykers, delivering them to Terra. The system functions. Thousands die so billions can live. This is the calculus of the Imperium. This has always been the calculus. T-6344 transmits another message. Her mind reaches into the warp, touches another astropath light years away, transfers the data. The connection breaks. She sits in her cell, blind, exhausted, alone. She whispers a prayer, not to the Emperor, just a prayer. For those who burn so others may see, for those who die so others may live, for Lena and the 17 and all the unnamed thousands, may they be remembered. No one hears her. The system continues. The black ships sail on.